Okay, so the entire AI world is on fire right now, and you can probably guess why. A new model just hit the scene, and some people are saying it's a total game changer, maybe even the end of the AI race as we know it. We're talking, of course, about Google's Gemini 3.
But you know how it is with these launches. There's always a ton of hype. So the big question is, has Google really just left everyone else in the dust? Well, that's exactly what we're going to dig into.
I mean, the day this thing launched, my social media feeds just blew up. You saw it, right? People were claiming that OpenAI, Anthropic, they were all basically obsolete overnight. But is that real? Is this a genuine revolution, or are we just riding another tech hype wave? To figure that out, we've got to get past all that noise and look at the actual evidence.
All right, so what's actually making this thing tick? If we're going to find out if it's the new king of AI, we've got to pop the hood and see what's inside. Okay, look at this list. It's the combination here that's so incredibly powerful. First off, it's natively multimodal. That means it's not just text, it's seeing images, hearing audio, watching video, all at the same time, right from the ground up. Then you've got this insane 1 million token context window. That's like feeding it a 1,500-page book and having it remember every single word. But the two things that are really turning heads are this deep think mode, and we'll get into that in just a second, and its ability to act as an agent. It can pull together different AI tools to tackle huge, complex problems all by itself. It stops being an assistant and starts acting more like a project manager. All right, let's zoom in on that one feature I mentioned, because this could be the single most revolutionary thing about Gemini 3. We're talking about its ability to, well, to actually think.
So Google is calling this deep think mode. And the best way to think about it is like a cognitive throttle for the AI. You know how most models just spit out the first plausible answer they can find? With this, you can tell Gemini, hey, hold on, take a minute. Think about this a little longer. It's a fundamental shift, right? It's moving from give me a fast answer to give me the right answer.
So how does it actually do that? Well, instead of just going down one path, the model starts exploring a bunch of different ways to solve a problem, constantly checking its own work for mistakes. But here's the craziest part. It basically creates a little team of specialized AI agents inside its own head. And these agents, they debate, they argue, they refine the answer, kind of like a room full of human experts would. So it's not just one AI thinking, it's a whole cognitive team working together. And the results of this, well, they're pretty significant. In some of the early tests, just flipping on Deep Think mode boosted its performance by more than 50%. And we're not talking about easy stuff here. We're talking about incredibly hard problems like advanced math and proving theorems. That's not just a little bump, that's a quantum leap in reasoning. Okay, so the architecture is clever, Deep Think mode sounds amazing, but does it all translate to better performance? Let's get out of the theory and into the hard data. Let's look at the numbers. And wow, the results are pretty striking. Across a whole range of benchmarks, Gemini 3 is opening up some of the biggest performance gaps we've seen since GPT-4 first came out. Especially on these really tough reasoning exams, it's not just a little bit ahead, it's a decisive lead. Let's just pull one of these out to really see what's going on. This one, Arc AGI2, is really interesting. It's specifically designed to test how an AI handles problems it's never ever seen before. True novel reasoning. And look at that. Gemini 3 nearly doubles the score of its closest competitor. This suggests it has a much greater capacity for what you might call fluid intelligence, the ability to actually think, not just repeat what it's learned. But if you want the most mind-blowing result, it's this one, on Math Arena Apex, and this is a benchmark that tests PhD-level competitive math. Gemini 3 isn't just a little better, it's more than 20 times better. Let that sink in. A 20x improvement isn't a step forward, that's a total phase shift in what an AI can do with symbolic reasoning.
Okay, a 20x lead in PhD math is incredible, for sure. But what does that kind of power actually mean for you and me, for everyday tasks? Let's pivot from the benchmarks and look at the real-world stuff that's already starting to happen.
If you're a software developer, this is huge. We're way past just generating little code snippets here. People are using it to refactor entire, messy legacy code bases, to find those super deep compiler-level bugs that used to stump every other AI, and even to design the whole architecture for a new game from scratch. The role is changing. It's not an AI assistant anymore. It's becoming a true AI collaborator.
And remember that whole natively multimodal thing? Well, its impact on content creation is just as big. Think about it. You can give it a 2-hour lecture video and it'll spit out perfectly structured notes. You can feed it a dense academic research paper and it'll create a clear, easy-to-understand diagram. Or, get this, you can hand it a 50-page report and ask it to write a podcast script based on it. It's completely changing the game for creative workflows.
Okay, so we've looked at the tech under the hood, we've seen the jaw-dropping numbers, and we've seen what it can do in the real world. So, where does that leave everyone else? Has Google just redrawn the map? Is this a brand new starting line for the entire AI race?
Well, as always, the reality is a little more nuanced. Let's put it head-to-head with OpenAI's latest. Gemini 3 is the clear winner when it comes to pure logic and structured problems. But GPT seems to still hold the crown for things like creative style and, I don't know, what you'd call narrative warmth. So if you need to write a marketing email that feels really empathetic, you might still find yourself reaching for GPT.
And it's a similar story when you compare it to Anthropic's Claude 4.5. Gemini is an absolute beast. It's starting from a blank slate, what developers call greenfield projects. But interestingly, Claude actually seems a little bit better at the nitty-gritty, meticulous work of real-world bug fixing. And because of its focus on safety, it's often the go-to for more conservative fields like law or ethics.
So, let's try to put a bow on this. Gemini 3 is, without a doubt, a revolutionary jump in AI reasoning. It just flat out thinks better. But, and this is a big but, it's not perfect. Users are finding that it can sometimes get lost or lose the plot in really huge, complex projects. And it can come across as lacking a certain emotional intuition. So you have to see it for what it is, an incredibly powerful, specialized tool, not some all-knowing oracle. And that really brings us to the final takeaway here. Did the launch of Gemini 3 end the AI race? No, not at all. What it did was raise the bar for everyone and create a brand new starting line. The whole competition is shifted. It's no longer about which AI can talk the best, it's now about which AI can think the best.
And that leaves us with one last pretty big thought to chew on. We've just seen a machine that can reason, that can simulate internal debate, and that can perform at superhuman levels in really complex fields. So if this is what AI looks like today, maybe the real question isn't which company is going to win the race anymore. Maybe the real question is, how is our own human intelligence going to evolve right alongside these incredible thinking machines?